the greatest change that is happening is in terms of the need to fight climate change. I think that is actually driving most of the changes. Of course, the technological improvements are there, whether it is digital technology or biotechnology or even just new plant breeding technologies, which are actually helping us to develop better quality seed varieties, which can help in fighting climate change. It can help in improving yields. It can help in fighting new pests and diseases which are coming. But in any case, I think seed is the most important input and which carries the genetic potential to actually fight all these things. So that is one change that is happening. The second change is that sustainability, we're all aware of SDGs, and then we are all aware of the need for sustainability in agriculture. There is a natural resource depletion which has happened in the last 20 years particularly. Water, soil, both have been depleting. So the need for actually protecting water resources and conserving soils is actually very high right now. So any technological improvements we are making basically towards this, there could be technology, it could be related to agronomic practices which will actually help us in using less water or reducing chemicals to the soil so that the soil structures are not damaged. All these things are under a lot of research and development work. Many of them are being rolled out into the market. But so that is another area. So sustainability is an area where there is a lot of focus on environment. It's very high because world population is growing and Indian population is growing. So while feeding the world, how do we make sure that we don't damage environment? This is actually the theme on which nowadays all agricultural conversations are happening. And nutrition is another area. How do we actually produce more nutritious food? How do we produce safe food? How can we increase traceability of the food? How can we produce more chemical-free food, with no residues? So the demand for organic food is growing. So I think all these are actually the trends. The food basket is undergoing a huge change. People are asking for different nutritious food and which is good for health. So the old system of just producing volumes at any cost is not there. Population incomes are going up, education levels are going up, so they are also demanding better. But still there is a large amount of population which needs food at affordable prices. So what's happening is that agriculture is separating out into a demand-driven agriculture compared to what was a production-driven agriculture so far. So the demand-driven agriculture will actually bring about a lot of changes into how we grow crops, how we grow even non-crop foods, whether it is dairy or poultry or any of those things. Everything is undergoing a change towards meeting the emerging demand patterns of the consumers. So that I would call as some of the biggest things. And then, of course, digital technology is a huge thing, not only in agriculture, but everywhere in our lives. Similarly, digital tech, there are many agri-techs which are coming up, which are actually looking at delivering various products and services to the farmers, including advisory services, through digital platforms, so that the traditional constraints of time and distance are being overcome through using digital platforms. So these are a few things that are happening in agriculture field, which have a long-term consequences for. We are becoming more and more environmentally aware, sustainable agriculture driven and demand driven agriculture. That means the agricultural professionals should be having sufficient knowledge and skills at understanding the impact of their work on environment. If I am selling pesticides, I should understand how it will affect the environment. That means my knowledge of agriculture has to be much beyond my product knowledge. And I must understand what impact my product has on the environment and how to mitigate any negative effects on the environment. So these actually very different from the traditional way in which we have been selling products. Probably we were less concerned about environment maybe 20 years back, but today that knowledge has to be there among all the people who are operating in any agri input industry. If you are so then that is one area. Second area is that we must have the skill of providing full solutions to the farmers. You see, it is not just about selling products and going away from there, but farmer should be at the center of our activity. As a person, and farmers' welfare should be our topmost priority, because we all know that farmers don't make money. They are always struggling to make both ends meet. So we have to make sure that by using our solutions, and our solutions may or may not include our products, so we should be ready to actually recommend solutions to the farmers which go beyond our products also sometimes if necessary, and then provide him solutions which improve his incomes, improve yields, protect environment. So all these balancing of all these factors, if it has to be done, then my knowledge of as a professional, my knowledge of multiple inputs, what is their interaction between different inputs, what is their interaction with the environment, and what is the result on farmers' fields and his yields and then his profitability. All this I must be able to balance. So this is something which corporates have to build, this kind of skill into their people. So the traditional training programs which corporates were running on selling skills and things like that have to be enriched, have to be strengthened with this additional knowledge which they have to give to all their people. And the challenges that people will face in doing this is that there are not too many people who can actually train them in this. So one has to really find out who are the people who can train them in this. So that is a challenge, definitely. Secondly, to find even the professionals who appreciate and understand the need for this type of approach is also not easy. But I think continuous education, continuous sensitization of people towards the need for this type of approach, and continuous knowledge sharing and preparing them to actually understand the multiple factors and give the right advice to the farmer. I think these are all not easy. When it comes to government organizations also, there is a lot of knowledge residing at some places. Even within government, there are scientific bodies who are generating this knowledge. But how does all this knowledge go in the form of a well-tailored advice to the farmer? See, today one of the challenges we face is that the farmer gets advice from 5-6 multiple sources. The input company guy gives a particular advice, the local extension officer gives a particular advice. On the digital platforms, he gets a different advice. He also gets confused that what is the advice that he should follow. And a farmer definitely is not interested in an advice or a forecast which is in general, even for his area or for his village. He wants an advice which is very specific to his farm, what he should do on his farm. So even when we do digital advisories, how do we make sure that we are able to offer him an advice for his farm? So that's where actually satellite technologies and then sensor technologies and then all these things are coming into play today. Satellite data is now very freely available and very high quality data is available. So it is for us to actually use it to offer the right solutions to the farmer. There is a lot of data available in the government in different departments. This is an area where government can work. We all know that government is creating an Agri stack, a digital Agri stack at the national level, and different states are also preparing this. their own stacks, their own databases. But many of these databases are not made available to people who are offering products and solutions to the farmers. So we have to also look at how can we create some of these data-based digital platforms which are public good platforms. Means how can we make them available to people who have to offer products and solutions, services to the farmers. If you take a public good like UPI, which has revolutionized the payment systems in India, similar public good we should create for agriculture, where there is a platform where data is shared, data is accessed. You don't share data, but you can only give access to data without losing confidential data. And then using the data, the people who are offering services to farmers are able to offer, and then that helps the farmers in getting much better quality services and products. So I think that's where we all have to work together on this. Everybody is collecting data, but all this data is in silos. This data is not made available to each other at a price. Nobody needs to do it free of cost, but charge a price for it, but make it available. So right now that's not being made available. So it can be made available by people comfortably and confidently if there is a platform which actually facilitates that sharing, like a marketplace. It's a marketplace where you can use the data and pay for it. So the guy who is managing the data and also takes care to maintain it properly by using that revenue, and then he is able to give good quality data. See, ESG type of concepts are very new. Okay, so these concepts are very new, and even large corporates are just now getting into them, right? So not just in agriculture, in general. So if you take agriculture field, see, if you take the case of multinationals, they get the mandate from their headquarters that they have to do this ESG compliances, and then having a certificate of ESG compliance itself will increase the value of the company nowadays. So because socially aware investors want to invest in companies who are ESG compliant. But how much of that awareness is there among many medium and small sized Indian companies, even large sized Indian companies in agriculture field, is a question mark. So one has to look at, there will be a few who are aware and who are doing work. I'm not denying that, but there are large number of companies who are not even aware, nor do they feel the need to actually go into this. And so, but they don't understand that it will improve the value of their company. If there is an investor coming tomorrow, there is a fund coming and investing tomorrow in their company, they all will look for these kind of things. But that level of awareness has to be created. So a platform like yours, an organization like yours, can create that awareness among companies. How? You will have to either offer it as a consulting service, or you conduct awareness programs, training programs for people from. So perhaps you should do it aimed more at Indian companies which need this education much more than multinationals, because that's where actually this gap lies in their understanding of the need. So if you can do it and tailor programs which are reasonably priced for them, and agriculture being a seasonal business, there are particular periods of time in a year when companies will be able to do these things. There are certain periods when they won't be able to do it because they're all very busy with Kharif and Rabi seasons and things like that. So there will be some months when they will be able to do it. So you should offer these programs during that time, and that will be attention the gaps in terms of knowledge, in terms of creating solution-oriented approaches among people. Digital, for example. You see, the next big thing in agriculture will be the digital divide between those who have digital knowledge and skills and those who don't have. How will a farmer be trained in using digital tools? There are so many people developing digital tools, but is the farmer equipped to use them? Is he sufficiently educated in digital? We also make mistakes in picking up wrong calls and making wrong payments and things like that. So somebody can hack into our bank accounts if we are not careful. So how will a farmer know all these things? How to create that awareness? So that training programs for farmers on digital is very, very important. Corporates will do their own training programs, but even like I mentioned earlier, some of the Indian companies, medium and small, they also need digital training programs. Many of them need training on how to use the emerging agri-tech companies, agri-tech enterprises. Many of them don't know how to use them, how to make use of them so that their own business efficiencies can go up. I think you can run some of these things.